sounds like you're
Oh.
ripping a. It sounds like you're ripping a bong. Actually, like what's
You don't
going
know.
on there, Chet?
You can't see me. You can't see me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on in to another Friday night live stream, 7 p.m. Pacific time. We are the Pixel Plastic and Ink crew, and tonight's episode dives deep into the world of comic book films and TV as we explore why so many villains have not been able to get it right. Like, we could probably name off the top of our head the Jokers, the Thanoses that really clicked with audiences that work well. But time after time again, villains that are introduced in either mass quantity in a franchise or movie or independently have just not gelled with the audience. Why is that? Is it writing? Is it the actors? Or is it just the wrong casting? We're going to talk about that. Plus, in the world of pop culture and comic books, there's a lot of other things that we're going to discuss. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pixels, Plastic, and Ink. Well, as always, we appreciate you tuning in here on the Shadow Nose Network. Before we go any further, drop the subscribe, click the button subscribe, drop a like, and comment. We appreciate you tuning in every 7 p.m. here on the channel. Gentlemen, how's this Friday evening taking shape for all of you?
Very good.
It's shaping up to be a night, you know, a night that I can remember, or a dark night. See what I'm doing there? Leaning in.
Absolutely hype, man. Absolutely hype. Heck of a week. A lot of great toys that dropped. If you guys haven't been checking out Chet's latest unboxing, well, it's a damn hell of an unboxing. So
Lots of toys. Lots of toys dropping in the world of Hasbro specifically, but some of the independent players as well. We'll talk a little bit about toys, but if you're interested in toys, well, Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific time, right here on this same channel, is Toybox Chronicles featuring Mr. Chet Maddox, Mr. Alexander Storm. At the end of the show, we'll announce we have a special guest on that show next week, so stay tuned for that. Meeks, what's up, man? Welcome on in. Darth Moocher joins us as well. Sarlacc podcast, man. The Sarlacc Digest Star Wars related content news. That is kind of our brother channel, if you will. And if you are into Star Wars, or you're just getting back into it, or just getting started, that is the source to get all of your content needs. Man, I hate going there because I'll be honest with you, between Mr. Storm and opening up G.I. Joe figures and getting inspired to collect, and then I hop over to their network and I'm like, should I start collecting Star Wars? It's a problem for me. So it's like, I can't watch these because just the collection continues and continues. I think I'll stick to comic books. But without further ado, we're going to talk a little bit about the villain problem in films and televisions. As we opened up the show, there are so many different opportunities in film with villains, and there always seems to be hit or miss, mostly miss. We'll talk about ones that did get it right, but gentlemen, what seems to be the problem? Because time after time, villains just don't connect, and it becomes a failure. So what's happening in Hollywood?
I think it's mostly the product of reproduction. I think look, when you have somebody like Thanos, I think that he's hard to reproduce, but then everyone else says, well, we need to have another Thanos instead of stating like maybe we should run our character because if you look at Thanos, Darkseid kind of seems like a Thanos wannabe instead of Darkseid being his own equal character. I think that's the scenario and situation that worked itself out a little bit more is that you kind of end up losing a little bit of the characterization with them and everything else. So I think that's the problem is that one film will imitate another one, and then it's something like right now we've got the Penguin, which had a great finale, and how many studios the next day got up and said, hey, I need to have an actual penguin tomorrow morning. Instead of just saying, hey, we need to do better with villains, they're going to try to replicate what Matt Reeves did. So I think that's one of the main problems.
Yeah, Star Trek did the same thing. After Star Trek 2, they had Khan was like the best villain Star Trek had ever seen. And after that, they kept trying to, well, we got to have another Khan. Well, this is a Klingon, but he's kind of like Khan and they just kept trying to do the same thing and it never worked again that way.
I think sometimes they try to, in the case of a lot of the Marvel and or DC, they try to squeeze too many villains into the films, which
Sure.
doesn't allow for room to develop the actual villains. You think about some of the Spider-Man franchises, and there was definitely some redemption associated with the last Spider-Man film. But when you try to squeeze so many in, Batman's been kind of guilty of that at times. Obviously, with the Schumacher ones, where it's like, okay, where do you stop, right? I don't know if it was just that problem as we've discussed in the past, but how many villains do you need at that point? Focus on one, maybe two. And that is suffice. But I think in a lot of times you're just trying to introduce too many at once.
Well, I think like if you think about, and I'm sure we'll get into this, but when it's done right, you think about what the movie consisted of, and there's two examples I can think of that are pretty impactful. One would be Dark Knight. Yes, there were other villains in that movie. There were other like antagonists, whatever, in the movie, but the movie was the storyline of like the Joker, and that's what got you like into it. And Heath Ledger was able to like carry that, and is arguably the best Joker to have been in the role. The other one is there was multiple villain types in Captain America: Winter Soldier, but you were pretty aware of who was the main one, and that's why you were able to get invested into what's happening with the villain. And I think a lot of these, like if you look at Penguin for like HBO, right? You're invested in the Penguin like episode 2 because they made the Penguin very like relatable in terms of just like, okay, this guy's been through some crazy shit. But you're able to focus on that. I think a lot of times it's like I feel like I'm watching stuff where they're just trying to throw stuff at the wall to see what sticks so that they have their next like money pit come in. And unfortunately I think that's what we've gotten to in some cases.
I think Tim Burton is to blame because he successfully did the Penguin and Catwoman in the movie and made their stories work independently, and it all tied together. And then you're right, Schumacher was like, all right, well, we got the Riddler and we got Two-Face, and also we got these smaller villains, but then they just started throwing stuff at the wall. And even with Spider-Man 3, they started to get into that problem again. They just keep doing it, and they need to focus on, let's just create a story. It's better if it's somehow tied to the hero, and just let that go. And if you have, some minor people on the side that you can bring in that works with the story, that's great. Otherwise, just do the one story.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it also comes down to casting, right? Like we could talk about the writing, no question, because if you think about successful villains, you definitely have to have a really great story. Case in point, Christian Bale, Gore, you'd think, oh my God, like Christian Bale as a Marvel villain, and what a disaster. Although he did a pretty decent job, but the movie was so terrible that it just, you'll never remember it again because no one's watching Love and Thunder unless you just want to like have a painful night or you're completely obliterated where nothing makes sense and all of a sudden that movie makes sense. But
Damn.
yeah, I mean, it's bad.
Sucks.
But if you think about like the really great cast, we talk about Colin Farrell in The Penguin, right? Just a recent villain already. I mean, what a tremendous job. We talk about Josh Brolin and Thanos, an amazing job. Heath Ledger, Joker. But then you get some ones in there where someone had played the villain previously, and then here comes someone along that completely transforms it and it makes you think about that was the right cast. Case in point, Kingpin, Michael Clark Duncan versus Vincent D'Onofrio, like night and day. And you could argue that the story wasn't great when obviously Michael Clark Duncan, but like it's night and day difference. The casting is spot on. And I think about other things like Whiplash, Iron Man 2, like, do you think Mickey Rourke, you put somebody else in that would have been better? I don't know. Like, these are the things. What about, like, for all of you? Are there ones where, like, man, it would have been great. The story was great, but we should have casted differently. Or the opposite, which was it was casted perfectly, but what a shit film.
Yeah,
well, one that comes to mind. Now, it is neither of those things that you just said. It was a bad film, bad casting, bad writing. But this is Ghost Rider, right? And they have Wes Bentley as Blackheart. And that was just some of the worst casting just I've ever seen, not just comic book movies. He was not right at all and didn't play it correctly either.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one.
I would say probably the worst casting I've ever seen, and the villain was terrible, was in Frank Miller's Spirit. I thought, while Samuel Jackson is probably one of the better Hollywood actors, that was a miscasting, a terrible written script. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish out of that, but I thought that was probably one where you had a very good actor, yet he was delivered terrible dialogue and somehow terrible direction, and that just became a disaster.
Dick Tracy had a ton of great actors. Some people like that movie. I personally did not. And, you know, you see Al Pacino hamming it up, and then Dustin Hoffman tries to outdo him, and then all these other guys are, you know, they got crazy makeup.
And then Madonna.
Trying to be, oh boy.
I like the movie because it's nostalgic.
Yes.
Because like I was collecting the figures. It was I'm still buying Dick Tracy stuff, but it was not a great movie. But I enjoy it anyway, right? Some of those things.
The look is amazing.
Oh, it's so great. Yeah, and Warren Beatty's good cast. Dick Tracy, really great. Like, and most of those actors,
and
like
Flat Top, I liked. He was great.
Yeah.
But like everyone else, pretty much sucked.
Yeah.
And I'll give Dark Moocher a shout out from that. The second time that they brought the Emperor back. And that's when they had, you know, they had a great Emperor villain in the first trilogy, and then they bring him back in the third trilogy, and they just totally wrecked the character. And it just and I think the worst part about that is it hurt the first three trilogies for me now. So, you know, sometimes you can, you know, they be like, hey, we can come up with something, or we can, you know, try to come back to another villain. It's just like, you know, like I've heard Thanos is supposed to pop back up in the Secret Wars movie. Well, you better give Josh Brolin something really good to do, or you're going to kill the two films that he nailed that character in. And that's what I'm a little worried about, them revisiting that character.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too. If you think about, we've always said, Crooked Smile, what's up, man? If you think about we've always said like those Avengers films, the four have in cinematic history have been amazing. In comic books, they're always 1 and 2, if not 1. Part of the reason is every film got the villain right, right? Like Loki's casting. Then say what you say about Ultron and whether or not, but like he was really good as Ultron in his voice. Like, let's be honest. And then obviously Thanos and some of the sprinkles of other bad guys. Like they got that right. Part of it is the writing, but part is the delivery. Here's a controversial thought here. For some, for this group, maybe not so much, but maybe not necessarily a villain, but a villain movie. They got Venom and they got Carnage wrong. I don't care what anybody says about Tom Hardy. I don't think he's Venom, and Woody Harrelson definitely ain't Carnage. I think they ruined that. And I know everyone's asking, will we see Venom in the MCU? I hope so, but I don't know if it should be Tom Hardy.
I don't think
be
it
honest
will.
with you.
I think
don't
he's
know.
done after.
I hope he's done. I hope he's done because I think that was some bad casting.
I think it should be Tobey Maguire. No? All right.
No. Hell no.
But now on the other end, I think where they do get the villain casting right, more or less, than everything. I think when, like, you know, the Netflix series did an absolutely job of all the Defenders, and I would say maybe Sigourney Weaver's character wasn't as great for the Defenders itself. But you know, when you think about Mashur Ali and Luke Cage was extremely great. Then you had Jessica Jones had a great villain. There are several great villains. Daredevil, you know, I think he benefited from the best villains, but also, you know, too, if you count like, you know, the Punisher in it and everything else, he could be considered that. Bullseye was pretty good. So, and I maybe like again, I think everybody kind of kills Iron Fist. But I think there were some pluses and ups and downs in that. I think the same thing we were talking about the Penguin. I think they nailed that. Well, I think when you have time to work some of the villains out and they have moments to build them up, they become very good characters. But I think it's absolutely hard to do that in films because TV, you're kind of wanting to be an individual. You want your series to stand out differently than someone else. So it works. When you're doing films, it seems like they're replicating it. Like, again, in let's say James Gunn's Superman does great coming out that first week and does gangbusters money. MCU is going to be like, okay, now, you know, the Century needs to have its own film and we need to do. They're always duplicating that in films. But when you get to television, because look, like we said, Colin Farrell, if he doesn't get anything award season, this is going to be one of the greatest ripoffs that we've seen in a long time.
Oh,
this man
he has to
nailed
win.
this.
He has
nailed
to win,
this.
Man. He has to win.
And yet, you know, just again, now here's a Hollywood actor that's doing television, but he has time to work on his character. Look, from the look to his voice to in Chet and I was talking about, I was watching the episode before last. Even he's doing so much method acting in this that he propels himself like even larger than I think on the same level as Heath Ledger when he took this, you know, it was Heath Ledger did one performance. This guy did 8 episodes and constantly nailed this thing where now I don't see Colin Farrell, I just see the Penguin. So I think that you have to take that to the screen. I think they did with Thanos. They didn't do too much. They didn't go too far into this backstory, and they didn't try to develop all these things. And you did not have any point to, I saw Darth Muter say, make the villain relatable or redeemable. You were almost like, this guy's just nuts. He wants peace. He's going to kill off like every other person. So you didn't get that, but they didn't overdo it. He wasn't sitting around, you know, with his motivation or something. They just got directly to it. I think that's the problem is that, you know, again, if you look at the difference between Batman Returns and you get Batman Forever, well, first of all, the tones are differently, but yet those characters they didn't spend a lot of time with the Penguin as much, but when they did, it was necessary. In Batman Forever, Tommy Lee Jones, the minute that movie opens, you knew, you were like, oh my God, this is not going to work itself out from the opening seconds. So I think that's the difference. Is that like television's trying to be unique in every other episode. Daredevil's not trying to be the Penguin, and obviously they're trying to make their own separate shows and one up it. Films are constantly trying to reduplicate a great villain. I can't tell you how many times, like Dr. Brentley said, we've seen the Wrath of Khan, not even in Star Wars, but in other films that it's just a Khan replica because that worked one time. So,
Yeah, and Marvel's tried it recently with like Echo.
Mhm.
It's like they could have done the same thing as Penguin, like really done this deep dive into a character and made it a little bit deeper. Like they did some good stuff in there, but a lot of it was not good and kind of boring. And they had an opportunity, they just didn't handle it correctly.
Yeah. I I I think the interesting part about the Penguin and also Thanos is there is some likability to a character that does evil stuff.
Of course.
And I think that's what it works so well with the Penguin. And I think in Thanos' case too, there was some empathy. You saw something there in that character, maybe not necessarily relatable, but like he was doing some crazy evil stuff. But at the end of the day, there was also some likable quality there. That is with the Penguin. You kind of forget when you watch that series, no spoilers, like he does some evil stuff. I mean, there's no question about it, but there's a likability to it. And obviously TV and extended 2 films allow you to develop the character. The one shots, it's very hard to pull off. We're talking about a lot about the opportunities, but I thought it'd be really, I pulled up an article from IGN that ranked the top 25 villains. Now, if you go back to the Shadow Nodes Network and PPI specifically, we've done some things in the past, like the top villain of all time. So if you're interested, scroll back to future past episodes, and you'll see what this crew decided on was the top villain of all time. But I thought it'd be interesting to go through this and see if we align with their thoughts here or we completely disagree, is like ones that have actually been good for TV and film. And I think there's no question here as it pertains to the Penguin. I think loud and clear,
Yeah.
he's done a phenomenal job. Phantasm.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
think
about this one. I mean,
I think if you remember Mask of the Phantasm, it was equally. They just didn't just come out with a clone of another character. It was its own, and there's a surprise twist ending. Look, I suggest watch Mask of the Phantasm if you've ever been a fan of Batman the animated series or any of the Batman movies. Mostly a lot of the direct to home ones were extremely good. This was obviously in the theater, but it's not the only Batman animated movie that they've done over years. I thought Phantasm is a good character, and there's a very good twist in the film. It's a very well written film. It just wasn't perceived well in the theaters, but it's probably one of Batman. So I think Phantasm's a very good character.
this one was interesting, but I also agree, like, did a really good job, maybe not to the extent of some of these other ones. But I forgot about Michael Wincott, who is the actor who played Top Dollar in The Crow.
Yeah.
Decent job. I mean, I love the Crow movie.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to, I think it was pretty solid casting here. You put
Yeah.
someone else in this role, it could have been really over the top. But in this particular case, it made sense.
Absolutely.
This one, Bane. I don't agree with this one at all.
No.
I don't know why, like, Tom Hardy's been giving these, like, I like Tom Hardy as an actor, but between Bane and Venom, he should never be
I don't
allowed
want
to do-
anyone to understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't
This
get
was
this
a
one.
miscasting and terrible. Look, there's a sequence in the beginning of the movie, and I think they completely ruined it because it is a very good sequence. It's just Bane's execution is the thing that just completely, the minute you hear that voice go, you're like, oh my goodness, they just totally messed this up. And it was such a great scene. So no, I think I haven't seen one superhero movie that Tom Hardy has been in, or whether it's Venom or whatever, that he's done a great job. This stinks as a character, bro. And Darth Moocher agrees.
This one from the
Oh,
past.
yes. Yes,
Neville Sinclair, the
absolutely.
Rocketeer.
My man Dalton. You know, Dr. Brentley and I, we have said this before. If there's any comic book film that, in the same way, I think you can say 300, Sin City, and The Rocketeer captured the whole essence of what the comic books were and extended upon it. It's not just him. I think there's also I can't remember the actor right now, Dr. Brentley, remember, but he was the mobster.
Oh yeah, Eddie Valentine,
Yeah,
Paul Sorvino.
Paul Sorvino. Like everything about this movie is fantastic. The lead characters, the background characters, even the kind of Dick Tracy-ish kind of character in the film does well.
Hmm.
This is one of my favorite films of all time. It's on Disney Plus. Yes, I'm giving it a Disney Plus thing. If you haven't seen it, The Rocketeer is a great movie to watch after PPI.
Deacon Frost.
Yep.
Hmm. And
That's
this
Say
would
what
have
you say
been
about-
ruined by
Yes.
a different actor.
Mhm.
Yeah, say what you say about Steven Dorff, but he played this arrogant little
Yep.
ass that was perfect for this film.
Yep.
So again, it goes back to casting the right way, and it just made so much sense here. And
Absolutely.
he didn't do much else after this, but this one definitely hit for sure. And it goes back to casting is right. The Riddler, I don't know. I don't know on this one. To me,
Yeah,
feels
No.
a bit off.
with that movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, like I'll even take Jim Carrey's Riddler over this.
Wow.
You know how much I hate Batman Forever.
I will
Jeez.
not do that. My goodness. Wow. Controversial take.
Ozymandias, I don't. Again, I'm not. I think you could have casted this much better and had a much better performance, considering the performances we got from some of the other characters in this movie.
If you saw the Watchmen HBO show,
Oh yeah,
Jeremy Irons plays this character, and he was fantastic. He killed it, and like he should have been in this movie. But yeah, this guy was okay, but he didn't give me "I'm the smartest guy in the world" vibes.
Yeah.
I agree on that. Mysterio,
He was
I
pretty
can't
did
go
a
good.
pretty good
against,
job.
my
Yeah.
Toybox Chronicle buddies. He's one of his favorite characters right here. I thought they did a great job. Look, it's very rare that Jake Gyllenhaal, he played a villain, but he never seemed like the villain. He did a very good job of convincing you he was such a great guy, even when he was doing bad things. So I think he best pulled that off.
Yeah, because even he's the villain,
Yep.
and you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe they're gonna change it up a little bit because he
Mhm.
seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah. Lex Luthor.
Oh yeah,
This one was so good.
Yeah.
the best.
He
Yeah.
was so good as Lex Luthor.
Mhm.
And no one's been able to do it as bad.
At all.
Like everyone thought, right? Like Nicholson gets Joker, no one's going to be able to replicate it. And then Heath comes in, and you're like, wow, different take, different version, could be better than Jack. A lot of people do think this, but no one's been able to do it better from a Lex perspective. We'll see with this new Soups movie, but I very much doubt it's going to hit at this level.
Which is wild because this is 1978. And
78.
they've definitely had other Luthers since then, and they're just not like one of the worst ones was like Eisenberg or whatever his name
Oh
was.
yeah.
And of course, Darth Moocher, Miss Tessmonger, which is
Tessmonger!
I hear Gene Hackman's voice every
Mhm.
time.
I thought he did an amazing job. But again, going back to some of the minor characters, although not minor in the books, right? But Baron Zemo, he was amazing in this role.
And he did a follow-up role in The Falcon and Winter Soldier, and he was good in that too.
Yeah, he was.
And honestly, I think him and Thanos are the only villains that have ever won in the Marvel universe.
That's true.
'Cause he got what he wanted. He got the Avengers to break up.
Yep. I'm not sure about this one.
Oh no!
I don't know
no,
why
no.
this is even on here.
At first, they said, "Is that Jonathan Majors?" I said, "Oh no, it's oh no, it's not." Well, I don't know why all the black villains look the same, but no, this one did not work. No, it did not.
And
Agreed.
there was so many great things in that movie too, because the rocket stuff at the beginning had me in tears like in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you get to the end and you should be all hating this guy, and it's just like, okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we've got Zod.
19. Yeah, this dude was awesome.
And you know what? I'm also going to say that in Man of Steel, good Zod as well.
He was
Michael
fantastic.
Shannon.
So, like, this is one of those rare occasions where the first iteration was fantastic, and then they brought it back. And even in the Flash, look, he's one of the better parts of the Flash movie as well.
Yep.
So, you know, it's very rare to see that happen. But yeah, great performance.
Mr. Glass. Now,
Oh,
this is interesting.
No. He does. Look, I know Dr. Brentley hates because I've heard this for the last 50
20 years.
Is that like he hates that ending and everything? I remember we were sitting there. He was pissed with that. Like they just wrote it. I've heard this every time it's brought up, but it was Samuel Jackson pulled a remarkable performance out. Because like when you're like, well, wait a minute, no, this guy's nuts. It's like he did a great job. So I like the villain, but the ending of the movie is the most controversial thing between Brentley and Storm that we constantly hear about.
Well, but they did do him well in Glass. I thought he was great in that movie, except for towards the end, it got kind of stupid. But most of that movie, I was very invested in. I'm like, oh, this kind of redeems what he was doing in Unbreakable. Because except for the one scene in Unbreakable where he falls down the stairs, I could give a shit about Mr. Glass.
Wow.
Syndrome.
I love Syndrome.
Yeah. This was
Jason Lee.
This was the best part of the movie. And I can just tell you, we like to joke about this, but we always used to watch movies, midnight movies. And I distinctly remember this midnight movie because I like to say it was in the L, cut off your knees and pray to God that you die in the film at Capitan Theater in downtown LA. If anybody's ever been there, or downtown Hollywood, if anybody's ever been there, you notice that theater was built for people that was living in the 1930s and 40s, but it wasn't for anyone in the modern age. And those seats are gruelingly painful. And I remember we got to that movie early, and it was the longest 2 hours and 36 minutes of my life. I thought I wasn't going to be able to, I thought it was going to amputate my legs. That's how painful that movie is. But that was the best part of the film.
Yes. Well, I'm smaller, and I was with two guys that were bigger than me, and I was even going like, God, these are really tight, these chairs.
They were. Look, you're going to stay awake during the movie, I'll tell you that.
Loki, spot on, killed it.
Time, performance,
still doing it
again and again.
No
matter how many times he's shown up, he's done this role right. You've liked him, you've hated him, you didn't know how to feel about him. Tom Middleton has done a fantastic job of this, and I'm somehow want to see him again. And I know maybe one time too many at times going to pop up, but I love when he pops in.
But even Thor 2, he was the best thing in that.
Yep.
You know, like that part was good. It was a small part.
Doc Ock, we talked about it. Another great casting choice. 100%. Cartoonish, but did a great job. Two renditions of the Penguin, both equally good in their own ways, but really great.
He was disgusting and perverted, which is a very different take than just the street level Hood.
And I will give credit. This is one of the few times where, in a good way, an actor gets you fired. Because Tim Burton got fired by that performance. Not because it was bad. It's just that if you would have seen the look on the faces of the people at McDonald's while they test shot that movie, that's what it did, because they were not expecting that at Happy Meals.
Obviously, the Joker, Jack Nicholson, self-explanatory. I don't think we'll have any arguments for the next couple of ones. Magneto,
Let's say between him and Michael Fassbender, I think you got to cut it in half and put both of them in there because I
agree.
think they're one and the same coin. You know.
I agree, but I think Ian McKellen did a great job. We've talked about it. William Dafoe,
William
Green
Dafoe's just
Goblin.
William Dafoe. He's so good.
Great casting choice. Underrated.
Oh yeah.
No one talks about Killmonger. In fact, I think maybe he was left out of our top conversation.
He was.
But he made that movie.
Damn right.
And for a lesser known villain,
yes,
unless you stayed close to Black Panther and comic books, this was a lot of people's introduction to this character, and he killed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Catwoman.
Ugh, hasn't been a better one since.
Yep.
It's been tried, but has not been replicated. Heath Ledger, obviously, no arguments, and then Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, it's we talked about why can't they get it right, but they definitely have gotten it right in a lot of instances, most of which we just scrolled through. So again, it goes back to what does Hollywood need to do? In summary, in my opinion, I'd like to hear yours before we jump to the next topic, is you got to get the casting right. Don't worry about the stardom piece, right? Like get obviously it's going to help for box office sake. We get that. But more importantly is get it right. I think too, get the writing right and give it time. Don't put 9 freaking villains in one movie. Stick to one, and you will build yourself an amazing character with franchise potential. What about
Unless
all of you?
it's Secret Wars, then you do need 9 villains in there, and maybe more.
Yeah.
That's true.
Quick Smile he agrees with Dr. Brentley about the crappy transition of things, and of course we know that Darth Moocher. Well, yeah, we know you're a little biased. There's a villain of all time. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know about that.
Oh, he's not
if
dead.
you count 1 and 3, yes, or 2 and 3, yes. By the time you see him in the later ones, no, they just completely destroyed that. I'll agree with you the same way, Rad. I think it's like, look, sometimes the better villains are the ones that are unexpected. You know, I remember everyone completely were up in awe when Ledger got Joker. Be like, oh no, and then they see the film and they walked, and we were walking in the theater. People was like, this is gonna suck, and people walked out. That was the greatest performance of all time. I can't believe it. We saw that. So I think that stop hiring sometimes the bigger known actors. You know, you don't need a Tom Cruise or something. You need good actors that are dedicated to the role. And then I think don't worry about, what character was in what film that did well. Perfect your villain for your film to tell your story, and it will all fall into place.
Agreed. Any last thoughts, Chet, Dr. Brantley, on villains?
Nope. Okay.
Do better.
Do better.
Yeah, I mean, just obviously, do better than Joker 2.
Yeah.
So,
well, don't do musicals. I think that's what they're telling you.
Yeah,
like,
so
don't do big budgeted miracle or musicals. And and I can tell you this, which we always laugh about, that somebody got fired that Monday. I can guarantee you, somebody got fired when those numbers came in. That was not one of those things where they're like, well, let's see what the next couple of films do. Somebody had the 2 security guards that had the box Monday morning, and you knew they were taking his nameplate off the door because somebody got fired for that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to relate to all the villains all the time. Sometimes you just need a very bad person that wants to do something really evil, and that's fun.
Absolutely.
100%. Well, as we move on to our Shadow Network news, please subscribe, drop a comment. We appreciate you all tuning in every 7 p.m. Pacific time right here on the Shadow News Network. This is Pixels Plastic Inc. I will pass it to you, Mr. Storm, for news updates.
And before we do, we got some people in the room. Hey, hit those likes. Likes also help. So while you're subscribing and doing all things, hit the likes while the actual live stream is going.
Hit the likes.
We got one heck of a week going, man. And this is always the part of the SKN news. I always have a little chuckle of it when I'm doing this stuff. And we're going to start this off and everything because if you don't know, Black Friday is now. Oh, wait a minute. It's a little too early. So that Thanksgiving hasn't even happened yet. You haven't got, well, that's okay. They're starting it. If you are our affiliate, Entertainment Earth actually does have a Black Friday sale that's going on right now, and it's lasting till the 24th. We'll get back to that a little later. But if you didn't know, now you know, over at Target. Now, if you're a Target Circle member, this is going to work itself out for you. But, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier shield, which I know that they popped up the Winter Soldier actual shield popped up at Ollie's and Ross a time back, and I always hear people like I can never find it there and anything else. This deal's a tad bit more palatable for you. Target has them in ready supplies, and they're trying to get that out before people see Brave New World. I know they are, so they're trying to get rid of that stock. But this is actually the 1-in-1 scale version of the shield, and this one also has the straps. Doesn't have like the slide in. It actually has the harness straps. I've never seen anyone wear it though. It's just the replica shield that sits there. But it says the Hasbro Avengers Legend Captain America shield normally retails for $139.99. I've seen it as cheap as $99, but rarely below that when you loan on Amazon or Target. It says, but Target has dropped the price to just $65 if you are already redeemed it. Then there's a 25% off Target Circle coupon that drops. And so when you go into the queue and you're on the out, there's a little part that says Target Circle. You can click that, knocks off a little extra fees for you. And drops the price further down to $49.99. Target Circle members is free to sign up and eligible for coupons and automatically applies into your cart. If you also, the Target Circle members, sometimes you have they certain funds whenever you purchase something, they drop a little money into your account that you can redeem later. I can already tell you that I'm a sucker for a shield. So guess what's coming next week for Mr. Storm? Yes, that's right. I got the Falcon and Winter Soldier shield because I did not want the Brave New World shield because that's going to be worthless. So, you want a shield, go buy a shield. You should definitely
Can't go wrong with $80 off.
No, you can't.
Oh.
You can't. Like I said, unless you find it at Ollie's for that, then yeah, do whatever you do. But no, this is a great shield and everything. So flowing through, not looking good for Red One. But we knew that if you saw the trailer. I got a feeling The Rock's got another stinker on his hands. It says early reviews suggest that the festive film's bland and unfunny dialogue. Meanwhile, they say that the star-studded cast has zero chemistry. And you didn't need to see the film to know that. The trailer did a great job of showing that. They also have J.K. Simmons in this. I would already tell you that I got a feeling that this is going to make a box office graveyard award. It's going to slide it at the end of the year because this looks like utter crap that's about to enter the theater. So,
well, this is the film that he pissed everyone off on, right? This is the one where he showed up late, like hours late, and all the issues, right? I think this was the one.
Well, he's done that several times.
No, but I think this one in particular was the one where
the
news reported that he was a nightmare on the set. That's never a good indication of a film being made good quality.
No.
He probably knew it's going to be a piece of shit too, and that's why he's like, I don't want to. I'll show up 5 hours late for this garbage because it's going to be a bomb.
Well, I love The Rock. It's like, hey, I got my money. I don't know about the rest of you jabronis, but I got paid. So, what does he really care for that? Next, we've got, and before we even jump into that, this is just for Darth Muture.
Houston, we have a problem.
We don't talk about Star Wars, but we're going to talk about Star Wars. This is one few times. This is, and there's a couple of pretexts for this. It said, well, we'll just use the little titling and everything. Now he's going to F up Star Wars because he's going to do it. Lucasfilms had just closed a deal with Simon Kingsburg to develop a trilogy of Star Wars films. I think he's the third or fourth person in the last 5 years to do this, but okay. He will write the trio, produce them with Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy. Okay. And they will comprise of episodes 10, 11, and 12 of the Skywalker saga that began with George Lucas's 1977 first film. That's the only time you can put that in the context of George Lucas in 1977 film because, wow, we were talking about this. Simon Kingsbury, if you don't know his work, you will start to know his work. I can guarantee you one thing. There is, in every sense of the word, he was the writer of the X-Men films and the 20th Century Fox versions. And he was the guy that rolled him into the dust, rolled him out of the dust, and then rolled him right back in the dust. I've never seen a man destroy a franchise in any other situation more than Simon Kingsbury. Well, guess what he's got a shot at? Some of the best characters in the universe. And we've seen what happened in the last 3 movies of people that didn't understand it. And you got another dude that, he's just begging to do it. Says, yeah, no one wants him there. Yeah, no. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think this is ever going to the screen. But you know what it is, man. Yeah, but the minute I saw that this morning, I knew that in every situation and everything that was coming down and everything, yet again, let me reiterate this.
Houston, we have a problem.
Because
from the man that brought you Dark Phoenix,
yes.
and also, I had to look it up because I forgot the stupid name of it, the 355,
yeah,
which was that
God.
female assassin movie or some shit, or
First of all, you
agent.
couldn't even come up with a smart title for it.
No,
other than the 355. Like, what the hell is the 355?
so forgettable.
Yeah, it's probably his check. He got paid 3 times, five times over what he should have.
Yeah, this is why it's hard for me to be a fan of Star Wars, because they haven't axed Kathleen Kennedy, and all she does is try to figure out like, hey, how could I just make this even shittier? And she just one-ups herself every time with Star. It's like they might as well just let her remake the original ones too. That way we don't have to worry about anything being good in Star Wars anymore.
Well, I can tell you from one aspect
She's
is
trash.
that in every possible way, that's going to come down to just one thing and one thing only, sir.
Houston, we have a problem.
Hey, what? So here's a question. The guy who wrote all the Star Wars novels, like the Thrawn, Heir to the Empire, have they ever tapped him to do any?
No, because it's good.
In the chat, you could probably answer that Star Wars related question.
Right, they would never. They would never.
Timothy Zahn, who did all these amazing novels. Why don't you just tap him?
Because they're good. That's not you don't want to make money and build a better lore for longevity of films when it comes to Star Wars. You want to find the trashiest dumpster fire you can to make and throw billions of dollars at it and then get upset and blame it on stupidity afterwards. And that's all they're doing with Star Wars.
This is why it's working, due to our Star Wars authority figure here in the room and the big boys. Timothy Zahn has consulted with Filoni for the Mandoverse. That's probably why the Mandoverse is good.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
okay. So
exactly my point. It's not a film. It's a.
Can we get him? Can we get him involved in some capacity? Here's a thought. I'm gonna throw this out there. This is a freebie.
Okay, Darth Moocher, pay attention.
Kennedy,
You're gonna need this Wednesday.
Yeah, if Darth Moocher, if you could relay this to your Star Wars network, maybe it influences. I like to see Timothy Zahn consult and the Godzilla director. What's his name? Who's basically raised his hand and said
-1. Mm-hmm.
Yes, Godzilla -1. You get those two in a room and create a movie, a Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's your solution. You get the brainchild with all the lore, all the proven, really great written Star Wars characters, and then you get this amazing director who's taken this epic historical character and made this movie that's going to probably go down as one of the best films of the past couple of years. Put them in a room together, give them a shot.
And Darth Moocher will one up, and then add Tony Gilroy. Then
there you go.
Have a mega
there you go. See,
he's absolutely right. He's
all right. Star
right.
Wars. There you go. Get on it.
You should get people like this to figure out the story ahead of time, and then you have something to work for on a trilogy.
Nope.
Goals.
Nope. Because then people would like it.
Yeah.
Nope. Can't do it. It's a movie.
I'll let the Starlight Digest brothers know that if it's a little bit of a show, Chet and I will actually happily jump into the show.
Yeah, hey Darth Moocher,
Give
if you
our
need
thoughts.
someone who's super positive about Star Wars movies, I'm happy to jump on.
And then Cricket Smile says Disney doesn't want to make good movies. He's not lying there.
They want to
And
make
then,
profitable movies. That's all they're worried about.
No, they
Darth
don't.
Moocher said he'll start making some calls. I also firmly believe someone for Lucasfilm listens. I hope they do. I hope they do, sir.
Yeah.
Or else
Yeah.
we're gonna sit through 3 crap movies. So, but yeah, let's all stay our
'Cause
prayers.
Everyone's
This does
been
not
wondering what's happened to Rey in the meantime since.
You mean Luke Skywalker? I mean Rey. I mean Luke Skywalker. I mean Rey.
Yeah.
I mean Luke Skywalker.
Rey Palpatine Skywalker.
You know what happened is in that first movie when it came out, they took all the good parts and was like, don't ever do that in a movie again, and then they never did it again. So that's why all the other films were.
So again, Wednesday night, the guys over at the Starlight Digest podcast, 8:00, they are going to have to marinate on this throughout the weekend. But that should be a good show. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't really pray a lot, but Moocher, I'm going to let you know that for you and the guys on the Starlight Digest, I will be praying that this is all just some kind of weird bad dream in a snow globe, and we don't have to worry about it. But unfortunately.
And again, like I say, we don't talk about Star Wars related to our Starlight Brothers, but we were going to talk about Star Wars tonight because that was the news of the weekend right here. Flowing through and everything.
Something cool like this.
Yeah, there you
starting
go.
from one mess and everything. Somebody got fired for this.
This was done by Kathleen Kennedy as well, I think.
Yeah. The Marvels officially ends the global box office run with an unfortunate MCU record. When they put unfortunate and record into something, well, that's not going to work.
Probably not good.
And everything. So the Captain Marvel sequence of Captain Morgan. You need Captain Morgan.
Yeah, but you look Captain in there.
I would have watched that movie.
Yeah. You need Captain Morgan just to get through and watch this. But the Captain Marvel sequel failed to make back its $275 million budget, and it finished. Now, let me put this into context. That's just the film budget. That's not the advertising budget that he spent on that. So the only time they mention the advertising budget is when they're trying to talk to actors to not pay them the money, and they tell them, hey, we had to spend this in advertising. So it looks like, but this case, they know nobody was making money from this. But it did a global take in the box office of $205.8 million as a result. What were we going to say, Dr. Burnley?
DC would love these numbers
Yes,
because after The Flash and after Joker 2, they're like, oh, please, I wish we had $267 million.
Exactly. It says, as a result, they're telling us something that we didn't know. And this is also coming directly from Deadline, too. As a result and everything, this the Marvels is officially the lowest earning MCU big screen ever, comfortably beating previously makes set in 2008's The Incredible Crap Hulk that we remember, which had grossed 264. So the worst Hulk movie of all time at least grossed $264 million around the movie. And that was, like I said, about 2008. So yeah, that's a little bit of time. That's a lot of money grossed it did. And it says that out of the Marvels global tally, only 84.5 million came from North America, and we suckered people overseas at 121.3 million. So somebody got fired for this. I can guarantee you somebody got fired.
With you.
Yeah.
You could have taken Nick Fury and put Steven Seagal in that role, and it would have made the same money as it did.
Actually, it might have made more money overseas.
People would have overseas. That's right.
The Russian money would have been through the roof.
Yeah, that's different. But somebody got fired for this. Somebody got that little the cardboard box on Monday morning after that done. But
bad.
Wow, that's and we knew that was bad. But Deadline reported it. Something that we already know. You don't need Miss Cleo to know that future. That was going bad. And last but on this list, and I thought this was just more than appropriate. Like I said, gate dial to auction. That's damn right. Guess what? You can hit the latest Chevron and dial that gate up, and you got a chance to own some stuff from the actual Stargate TV show and the movie. So, it's like you're a big fan of Stargate, and all but 6 or 7 people that ever watched the show probably is. profile Stargate items in the event from both the original feature film, which is damn near in the 90s, to the I think the 10 ran season one show, but I think it was 4 or 5 of the actual live action shows.
It's okay. No one watched it. It doesn't matter. We don't need to be correct.
Yeah, exactly. It says the full auction will run over 4 days, November 14th to 17th. So get your money there ready and everything, because you can get these original screen used props. Now, I was over at Chet's house earlier today, and we were laughing about this. You can actually get a headdress and everything from one of the gods, whether this is Anubis or Apophis or any other characters. You can run this. This is the funny thing, though. I personally thought this. Somehow, because I'm telling you, I've watched the shows, especially many late nights. The Mark III nuclear bomb had never appeared in any of the TV shows, so this came directly from the MGM, the 1994, 1995 film that they made, and that starting bid is at 2,000. That starting bid 2,000 euros, which Chet and I did the breakdown. That's what about 2,700. In the old US dollars.
Yeah, 2,000 pounds is like almost 3,000 plus shipping.
I'm pretty sure I saw that headdress when I was searching for a Cobra Commander costume for Halloween on Temu.
You probably
it was a Temu special. I'm not paying $5 for any of this stuff.
Wants us to know that Stargate's the only movie I ever walked out.
I love Stargate. How dare you?
Obviously, you didn't like didn't like Unbreakable.
He walked through the portal and out the door.
Yeah, he dialed in the movie Chevron.
But also, good luck trying to get this shipped overseas. Oh, what do you have in this? Oh, it's a nuclear warhead. Don't worry about it. No, just
well. Now here's a couple of fun features for this thing. It does have actual lights, so it does beep, and you can see the countdown running.
Makes it even more safe to ship.
It's the same. It's the same countdown that the people at MGM had trying to make another one of these movies and shit. Countdown to 0, because this is not going to happen again. I give them credit, but hey, if you want something that Kurt Russell actually touched, well, there's a mark. Now we were saying if we have any cash, I would buy this for Chet Maddox's living room, just to have it sit there, just so when people come up, what's that? Oh, that's the Mark III nuclear warhead. You don't know. It's like, but. This is just one of those things where I don't understand, but we'll see if they come up with any pricing sells end or something. I'm going to keep my eyes on this, and I'll let you know what it's sold for. I got a feeling that this is going to be something that's not going to make the bid. It's going to go lower than that. So, but hey, you can dial that Chevron back to the Shadow News Network and PPI on Friday night. That is the end of SKN News for the night.
Amazing.
Now, I do have a kind of late breaking update, which is a little sad news at the end. But we did lose someone today, Tony Todd.
Oh, no.
Only 69 years old, but he was the original Candyman.
Absolutely.
He was Worf's brother Kern on Star Trek The Next Generation. Also played a older Jake Sisko in Deep Space Nine. But he's done a ton of work from Platoon. He was fantastic in that. And he's still got movies that are going to be coming out all the way till next year, because I guess there's some other thing that he's doing. But
not to mention also, and let's not forget, remember Final Destination.
That's it. There's another Final Destination, I think, coming out, and he's got his voice in it.
When you're at the funeral home and everything, you just know, like, this guy. First of all, let me tell you something. Candyman was so damn traumatizing. Like, I know we said the word 2 damn times, so let's not go 3, but I distinctly remember that movie. That was a very frightening movie, and I know there's some people where I was staying with that still today won't say that name. So
we just talked about him last week when we talked about best horror icons. Sad. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, man. Well, always fun talking comic books and villains with everybody. And we talked about a lot of the casts in our brother network. And so again, always catch this stream 7 p.m. Pacific time. We run live, but if you're watching after the fact, pre-recorded, all good as well here on the Shadow Nose Network. And then also on Wednesdays, we've got a run of shows that you should tune into. And so let's run that right now. Awesome. So you know what some of the topics going to be with the future of Star Wars films. So catch that Wednesday, and then a big announcement, Mr. Storm Chat Maddox. This Wednesday we have a special guest. I don't know if you all want to talk about what's happening this Wednesday.
Absolutely. We reached out to somebody that we're very excited with, the creators of the Bandino. If you haven't seen that 112 vehicle from Odd Frog Entertainment, you can catch them on their Instagram. If you've seen something that rivals the Ramen Racer, I would say the Bandino does. It was something also that first brought to our attention by Nerdzoic. So we're really looking forward to having them on. And they are also, one of the things that's kind of cool about them is they are based in Southern California as well. So, I'm sure this is going to be the first of many conversations we have. Chet, you like to put anything on it?
No, I think if you're a fan of the Ramen Racer by Ramen Toy, the Bandito is going to be something that you're going to want to look at because the shipping is probably not going to be as much. And from the pictures I've seen, they put a lot of time and effort into this. I'm excited about it. It's definitely on my list to want to get. But I'm excited. I'm excited for next week. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, amazing. Awesome. And as Mr. Storm had mentioned earlier in the episode, Black Friday is almost here. But Black Friday sales are happening across the country and the online community. And one of those is happening at Entertainment Earth. And as always, we also want to thank our first and ever sponsor, thanking the mom and pops, and that is Toys versus Games.
Toys versus
Games.
I'm here with the man, the owner.
Tony at Toys vs. Games. Versus
Games.
Oh.
And for you comic collectors, comic sellers, protect your stuff, ship your stuff. Why not use our code? We are an official partner of Gemini Comic Supply. As always, tons of content and new videos in the channel where you like pro wrestling, you see Shadow Shoot Shot, or if you're looking at some of the stuff like the retrospect vault, in which, wow, if you're into Night of the Living Dead and looking at the horror classics of the past, check out that episode. Toybox Chronicles, unboxing with Chet Maddox, and much, much more. Continue to follow the channel. Subscribe as always. We appreciate all the folks that are always in the chat every Friday night. Darth Moocher, Crooked Smile Collectibles, Meeks, and everybody else that pops in from time to time. And if you can't join us live, we appreciate the views even after the fact. Gentlemen, any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
Yeah, let's get these the replay squad going. Let's try to put if you know anybody that might enjoy the show, recommend the show, but let's try to get the replay views up.
Let's do it. Get those views up. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. We will see you next week. Have a good weekend. Adios.